Welcome to Living a Sustainable Dream, and I'm Krista. Today I am very excited. I have just picked my first batch of tomatoes. I have a variety of tomatoes here that I've grown, and the first step I do in making tomato sauce, which is my goal, is I pick my tomatoes. I then am going to cut them up. I'm going to process them in my food processor over here. And then what I do is after I process them in my food processor, I put them in canning jars and I store them in my refrigerator. And for the next couple weeks, as my tomatoes come online and they ripen, I'll pick them, continue to process, and put them in the jar. When I've got enough jars filled with just kind of what I call my raw tomatoes processed, I'm gonna then cook them up and can them and make it into tomato sauce. So let's get started. First of all, before I start processing, I'd like to show you all the variety of tomatoes that I have in my garden. I've got a variety this year, and I really enjoy kind of mixing all different tomatoes together to make tomato sauce. It just makes for a great taste because some tomatoes are full of flavor. Some tomatoes are very what I call meaty, which makes for a great sauce. And some tomatoes, you just get all the different color going on. Some are light red, some are dark red. And so you get a really kind of neat looking tomato sauce and great tasting tomato sauce. I've picked Brandywine, which is a great staple tomato. I have what I call Bonnie Best, and I've got all different sizes of Bonnie Best, and these tomatoes are kind of not perfectly round. They are, they almost look like, a little hardish or a little pumpkinish, right? They're very cute. I've got bigger ones in here, obviously, of Bonnie's Best. I have one Jet Star, which is kind of a little bit lighter tomato. I have quite a few Glacier. These are nice and meaty, good taste. They came in all different sizes in ripening. I have a lot of Celebrity tomatoes. This is a nice, meaty, firm tomato. Of course, I have the good old Amish paste here. And Amish pastes are usually kind of, a little oblong, which is kind of fun. And then I have a variety of little kind of cherry tomatoes. They're all orange, as you can see. They're beautiful. And they are, honestly, I don't remember the name. And so I'm just going to call these my little Starburst tomatoes. So this will make a fun little ad too. I have now cleaned all my tomatoes. I've rinsed them off. And don't they look beautiful? Oh my goodness. I love it. If there's any blemishes on the tomatoes, on the skin, or inside, I just cut those off. I just trim it. And I've got my little container here where I put my little scraps, and I will be putting that into my compost. I've noticed my chickens don't really care for tomatoes that much, which I find kind of interesting. But anyway, put that in there. The great thing about when you have little cherry tomatoes, don't even need to cut them up. Just take the tops off, little green little tops, and just stick them on in. Love it. How fun is that? Totally cool. We're just going to keep cutting these until I have my food processor full, and then we will. And pieces don't have to be cut real small in the processor. I just like them in big chunks. It just makes it easier on the food processor to just puree basically your tomatoes. And maybe some of you are wondering why I'm doing the skin and the seeds and everything I'm just processing. This is the first step. So the first step I do is I just cut everything up. I process seeds, peel, everything. Then what I do is once I cook it down and I've heated up my mixture, I then put it through my strainers and I just get the juice. And so I do that later. I separate everything else out later. So I just have found this to be easy. I can get this done quickly, store my tomatoes so they don't go bad while I'm waiting for the rest of my, tomatoes to ripen up. My husband always tells me he gets nervous when he sees me cutting up things. It's very interesting. The meat inside of each tomato is a little different. Like this. I think these are my smaller Celebrity. Look at the inside here. very kind of full, very meaty. I like it. And then let's do a Bonnie's Best. Oh, Bonnie's Best are nice inside. Wait till you get this. Hang on. Bonnie's Best are even meatier. Very little seed, a lot of meat, which makes great sauce. Okay, let's do an Amish paste. Let's see the inside of this one. Oh, again, very nice, very meaty. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, we'll cut that up, stick it in. Okay, let's see those little starbursts. You know, the little cherry tomatoes. These, I'm suspecting, yep, not as meaty. A little bit more full of juice, the seeds, but a good flavor, but not as meaty. That's okay. And let's do a celebrity. Here's a beautiful celebrity tomato. Oh, these are half and half. You can see a lot of seeds and meat. So you got the meat and a lot of seeds. So these are kind of in between the Bonnie's Best and the Amish Paste. I would say Bonnie's Best and Amish Paste have more meat in them. Although the celebrity is a nice tomato. It grows really nice. This is the first year I've grown these. I really like them. Oh, here is my one Jet Star. Let's see what those look like. Oh, Jet Stars. Not as meaty. Interesting, huh? Beautiful though. Beautiful color. That is going to look awesome in my tomato sauce. Yep, definitely not as much meat. More juice, which is fine. That's kind of why a variety of tomatoes is great in tomato sauce. Because, you know, it just makes a great consistency for your sauce. Great texture, great flavor. You know, a little bit of everything. Let's get a glacier. Hang on, my glaciers aren't huge. So let's test one of these out. Oh, the glacier. Very beautiful red color. Beautiful red color. But not as meaty, but beautiful color. No, I haven't been eating a ton of glaciers. These taste good. The celebrities, great taste. The celebrity tomato has a great taste. So there you go. So there's all my varieties of tomatoes and kind of their meat consistency versus flavor versus, more seeds. Whoop, looks like I missed a little part there. Look at the beautiful color in there. Oh my gosh, these are just awesome. You know, you just don't get store-bought tomatoes the same, do you? As when you grow them yourself. Just so juicy, flavorful, colorful. I just love it. See my Amish paste? Not so good there. So what I'm going to do, and as you can see, I'm going to cut all that off. Because I do like the Amish paste tomato in there. So this part of the tomato is beautiful. Look at that. Oh my gosh, just juicy, lovely. We'll just cut the blemishes off and just get the good part. There we go. Okay. Put that in my little compost basket. I now have my processing bowl all filled with tomatoes. I'm going to go ahead and process this, and then I'm going to go ahead and pour it into my canning jars. Doesn't take long. All right, I've got it processed. What I'm going to do is pour it on out here. Pour it through my funnel. Here's my first jar that I just processed with my tomatoes, ready to just put in my refrigerator and wait until I'm ready to totally can it and make it into tomato sauce. And look at the color. That is beautiful. I just love that. Oh my gosh. Straight from the garden, processed and ready to roll. And the color is just exquisite, isn't it? Love it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue to process my tomatoes, put them in my jars, and stick them in my refrigerator. And then when I'm ready, I've got all my tomatoes harvested over the next 2 weeks, because that's about how long these last in the fridge, about 1 to 2 weeks. Then I will process and make my tomato sauce. Today I'm going to be finishing up processing my tomatoes to make tomato sauce. I have gathered for the last couple weeks all my tomatoes out of my garden. I have put them in my food processor, and then I've stored them in my refrigerator. And today I am ready to make my tomato sauce. The tomato sauce that I'm going to make today is a simple, basic tomato sauce. I love to just make a regular tomato sauce with nothing added into it, because throughout the season, throughout the fall and the winter and the spring, I can then make my tomato sauce into sauce for my spaghetti. I can make spaghetti sauce. I can make tomato soup. I can make sauce for my pizza. I can make sauce for lasagna. So it's just your basic tomato sauce that then when you open up your jars, you can then add all the other ingredients you want for whatever you want to make for the day. Let's get started. So the first step today is I'm going to take all my jars, I'm going to empty them into my stock pot here, and I'm going to cook it. And the reason why I cook my tomatoes up is because I'm then going to put them through a strainer and just get the tomato juice. All the seeds, all the peel, all the inner core, and all the little rind are going to be sieved out at that point. But I have found that if I cook it first, it goes through my sieve really easy, and then I have my tomato sauce that I can cook down and can. Oh, one more little add. As you're seeing here, you can see all my different colors, right, of red. Well, here's the thing. As I said before, I have so many different types of tomatoes. Look at this. These tomatoes were really orange. So my obviously my tomatoes came out very orange there. I have a little bit lighter tomato, kind of almost like a pinky color, my lighter tomatoes. Obviously in this batch, I had a lot of really red tomatoes. So what's really fun is you have such a variety of color to put into your sauce, a variety of taste, a variety of meatness, texture, and it makes an awesome sauce. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. After collecting my tomatoes, processing them up for the last couple weeks, it's really a nice feeling to finally cook them up and make my tomato sauce. I've now emptied all my mason jars into my pots, and I had my stock pot totally full. Okay, so I had to use another one of my pots. So I've actually got a little bit more than I thought, which is awesome, because that just means more tomato sauce. Look at the color of my tomato sauce. It is beautiful. How fun is that? One of the fun things that's totally awesome is that as I use my stainless steel pots, these are pots that were actually my grandfather's. Can you believe it? Don't they still look just awesome? Oh my gosh, these are the greatest pots. And to be honest, I find these in the thrift stores sometimes. I pick them up whenever I can. And if I can find the lid, bonus. But you want to know what? I'll usually find the lid maybe at another thrift store in just the lid bin, So anyway, just as a little aside, so fun to have my stainless steel pots and that they're from my grandfather. This one in particular has a funny story. I was wanting a stock pot for my soups, and we were living in this little town in Oregon, and we went down to a little, people were just selling some things on some tables in the downtown area, and literally the downtown is one street. And I went down there, and lo and behold, this stock pot was there with the lid, and I think I paid $7. Is that awesome? I love it. But I love these stainless steel pots. They are so nice to work with, nice to cook with. All right, so anyway, enough of that. Let's go ahead. I'm going to put these on my stove. We're going to heat them up, and then we'll process them through the strainer. I now have my 2 pots on my stove, and they're going to get all cooked up. And I just wanted you to see. Look at how gorgeous those tomatoes look. Oh my goodness, how fun. All right, we will just let those cook up, cook down, and then we'll put them through our strainer. My tomato sauce is all cooked down. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it through a sieve. And I have a strainer or a sieve that's got really, really small holes. Okay, and you want a small hole one so that obviously the seeds, the peel, and everything won't go through, and all your juice will. I have another pot that I'm going to catch my juice in. My cooked tomato sauce is right over here. Is what I use is a ladle. And I have found that a metal ladle works awesome because you can scoop it, and I use the backside to push everything through my sieve. I have my sieve in the sink, and I'm going to work all in my sink here. I'm going to take a scoop of tomatoes, a couple scoops, a couple ladlefuls. And as you can see, my tomato sauce is just kind of draining out all the juice. And then is what I do is to get all the meat pushed through as well, is I take the back side of my ladle and I just push everything through. Okay, and you keep doing this until all you have left in your strainer is your peel, your seeds from your tomato, and all the juice has gone through the sieve. Okay, now I just about have everything through. No more juice is coming through. And as you can see, all I have left is my peel, seeds, and I have a little container here, once again, that I will take out to my compost. I just put it right in there. And as you can see, and here is the sauce that is beginning. I've got my tomato juice now without seeds, without peel, or anything. This is great. So you just keep doing this. I'm going to keep putting my tomatoes through my sieve. And I'll eventually, because I have a lot of tomatoes to put through the sieve here, I will eventually have to change pots, but that's okay. I eventually am going to change back into my stock pot to be able to then cook down all my juice. Okay, so just keep doing this. You want to push out as much meat and juice as possible. I have filled up my first pot. And so what I'm going to have to do is, because I still had some left in my stock pot, as you can see, I poured it into my bowl. So I'm going to switch my pots here. I wash this up. Make sure it's all good to go and clean. Now obviously I'm just putting tomatoes back in, but that's okay. You want to make sure everything is clean. And I'm just going to wipe off the outside here just so there's no drips. I am now going to use this stock pot to continue to put my tomato sauce in. Alright, so I've got this one here, nice and full. The rest of my sauce I'll put in here. And if I can, I'm hoping I can combine everything into one stock pot, but we'll see. I may have too much tomato sauce, which is awesome because that means more tomato sauce to can. I am getting some beautiful juice. And I've noticed too, when I process my tomatoes in my food processor, you know, not every tomato gets processed and there's a few chunks. So it's awesome because I cook down the tomatoes. They are soft. I can just push everything right through the sieve, get the meat, seeds peel behind, and you're good to go. So this is coming out beautifully. You know, you can totally smell the cooked tomatoes. It smells a little bit like tomato soup. You know, the other day I made homemade tomato soup. I don't buy tomato soup anymore because when my husband and I were doing a couple months without sugar, we were looking at everything that has sugar, and they put sugar in tomato soup. How crazy is that? When I can my tomato soup, I don't put sugar in it. So I made tomato soup from scratch for the first time, and ever since then I've been making it myself. Well, I made some homemade tomato soup, and I had some fresh basil left over in my garden. Oh my gosh, nothing like having fresh chopped basil in your tomato soup. It is the
And you know, I always use milk with my tomato soup. I like mine really creamy. And if I'm really feeling, you know, like I want to put a lot of fat in my soup, I'll do half and half instead of milk. Beautifully yummy and creamy. On the bottom here, you see a lot of meat. You know, sometimes I just take my little ladle and just kind of scrape it off a little bit, because that is the good stuff. That is the stuff that you want in your tomato sauce. It's the meatiest part of the tomato, and a lot of it drops off too. But at the end, when you're done straining all your tomatoes, don't forget to look at the bottom of the sieve and actually kind of scrape off the remaining there, because that's the really, really good meaty part of the tomato sauce there, part of the tomatoes. I didn't have that much waste. That is awesome right there. So that will go to my compost. Let's go ahead and set this on our stove. And while this is cooking down, I'm going to prepare my canning jars. Today, I'm going to can my jars into my little 8-ounce jelly jars. I like them in the 8-ounce. Some people like them in the pints. I like to do the half pints. It's totally up to you, totally personal preference. So I'm going to get my jars ready. I'm going to get them in the hot water. I'm going to get my canner ready and let that come to a boil. So when my tomato sauce is all cooked down, I have my jars and my canner ready to go. As you can see, my tomato sauce is boiling and it is looking great. I totally love it. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? So now I'm going to turn my burner down on low and let it keep bubbling and simmering. Do not put a lid on. You are wanting this to basically evaporate. You're wanting the water to be able to turn into steam and evaporate out and cook down your sauce. So just leave the lid off, put it on simmer. As you can see, it's cooked down to about where I have 3/4 left. And it started about up here, and it is cooked all the way down. So I am now ready to start canning my first batch of tomato sauce. I'm now going to go ahead and pull my jars out of my water. Again, using my little hot dog tongs. Love these things. While my tomato sauce was cooking down, I brought my jars to a boil. I brought my water bath canner water to a boil. So we are ready to go. So I'm just using my little half-pint jelly jars. And when you're pouring in your tomato sauce, you want to leave, and I'm now putting my lids in my water so they can be getting warm while I am pouring out my tomato sauce. What I'm going to put in my tomato sauce is 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt and 1/2 tablespoon of lemon juice. The lemon juice helps everything stay fresh and no brown. And just to give a little taste to my tomato sauce, I like to add just a little bit of salt. As I said before, I'm just making a basic recipe. The lemon juice, go ahead and put 1/2 tablespoon each in here. And I like to do this, obviously, you do this before you pour your tomato sauce. I've got my funnel. I have a metal ladle. I'm going to go ahead and ladle my tomato juice into my jars. Okay, and you want about 1/2 inch of headspace at the top. Oh, this sauce is looking beautiful. Beautiful. The one thing that is cool about the tomato sauce is as this batch right here is processing, it'll take about 35 minutes to process in the water bath canner. And I'm going to continue to let my tomato sauce cook down. So I'm going to turn my burner back on. I'm going to let it continue to cook down. And so my sauce, as I go, is a little thicker and a little thicker with each batch, which I totally don't mind. I actually like. My jars all filled. And aren't they looking beautiful? They're a little hot. Aren't they looking beautiful? Oh yeah, love it. You want to make sure you have a rag to wipe your tops off. You want to wipe any tomato juice that you might have spilled on there. As you can see, I have my canner full with my 7 half pints. I will now put the lid on and these process for 35 minutes. How beautiful. I have now finished canning all of my tomato sauce. I was able to get 21 half pints today of tomato sauce. That is so awesome. I love it. And don't they look beautiful? Look at the red. Oh my gosh, this is going to taste and be just so awesome. As fall and winter come, I can just pull these off my shelf and make spaghetti sauce, make pizza sauce, tomato soup, whatever. So I want to thank you today for joining me on Living a Sustainable Dream, and we will catch you on the next video.